The CYENS Weekly, an industry pundit podcast about the tech and innovation of the 21st century. An open discussion between industry experts to uncover how emerging technologies can help solve current societal issues.
So, welcome to CYENS Podcast. We have Nick Coutts with us today. He's an expert in many different things. So I'll let him to tell us what he's doing, a bit more about himself.
Thank you, Burak, and really appreciate the invitation to join you in the Accelerator Program. And as you know, we're looking at finding innovative ways of using the digital twin of the city of Nicosia in order to have an impact on pollution, on energy consumption, on traffic congestion, and all of those elements which could improve life in the city for the residents, but also link that to impact on the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, which are so critical that we pay attention to doing what we can to reduce our footprint on this planet. And my interest here stems from work I did at IBM, where I had global responsibility for how we get new products and services to market. And that led me to understand that yes, you need good coaches, yes, you need good mentors to help the early stage innovation projects. You need a good team, good people, strong people. You need a really good idea, but also if you have good process, you tend to get good outcomes. And what I'm really interested in is moving innovation, and I've worked in innovation projects in incubators in Perth, Western Australia, in France with Eticoop, which is a territorial school for innovation and cooperation, and in London with our incubator, which was a joint partnership between Imperial College London, where I'm part of the Global Innovation Design Masters, which is a joint 2-year masters with the Royal College of Art. The students graduate with an MSc from Imperial and a design masters from the Royal College of Art. And I'm also part of the Service Design Masters at the Royal College of Art. And that leads me to the idea of innovation as a service in the city here in Nicosia, because all of the resources the teams we're working with need, all the resources they need are somewhere in this wonderful city. But we know they're there, but it's very difficult to access them. So if you use service design to create services that allow people to access the 3D printers, access the laser cutters, access the IP specialists, access the investors with money, then you take risk out of the innovation project. And that's really important because innovation is not of itself, it's to achieve something. And for me, that's about creating and maintaining employment. Employment is good because if you're unemployed, you're probably receiving benefits from the city. If you are employed, you're paying taxes, which pay for art, pay for music, pay for road maintenance, pay for education, pay for healthcare. And large companies tend to use technology, and they innovate. Often the result of that is to reduce employment. We have large numbers of young people unemployed across Europe. In some cities, 60% of young people, typically 20 to 25% of young people. This is a major problem that no one is really talking about properly. And so if people are unemployed, we are teaching them how to live without working. They're losing motivation. They're losing the opportunity to develop competencies which will help drive the economy. So how do we manufacture employment? Excuse me. We depend on people here coming up with ideas and commercializing them. That generates employment, not only within the project, but upstream of the project in the supply networks and downstream in the retail activities, getting closer to the customer. So we need to be able to do this at scale. And yes, we have good mentors, we have good coaches, we have good access to finance, but there's no repeatable, scalable, industrial strength process. It's a cottage industry. We're doing the knitting. We don't have knitting machines. And that's what we need to build here. And so my vision is that the city provides innovation as a service, and we take these resources and we make them available through designing services which help the entrepreneurs find the resources they need quickly. And of course, as your business grows and matures and evolves, you have to dynamically improve the mix. You're constantly looking out for another expert, some more money, some better space and better equipment. So if you have an oil rig, the maintenance, the management, the design of the oil rig are all services. If those services are well designed, return on asset goes up, production goes up. If they're badly designed, as we can see, there are oil spills, there are deaths, there are costs, and return on asset collapses. So even with a thing such as an education service, and we had a really, really interesting event last night for the EdTech innovation ecosystem, because education is so important, and we can come back to that, how we innovate in education. What we really need to do then is to make sure we have a good, repeatable, scalable innovation process, which is easy to use, which is maintainable and sustainable. And then we teach our teams how to generate employment for themselves and within their project. And then they know how to help generate employment with others, teach other people how to generate employment for themselves. And that way we can scale. And that's why it's so exciting to be here, to have this opportunity to work with the teams to do that.
We're both fans of systemic thinking. So
yes,
let's look at all the different stakeholders that might be involved, because it requires different action plan to create a service design for governmental organizations, probably a different action plan for for-profit organizations to create service design and use innovation for employment, and probably for academic institutions different. If we take them in hand differently, what would be some suggestions that each different, or focusing on only one of them, that can use innovation to create employment opportunities?
I'd like to answer that from a slightly different direction, which is, if you have a resource, we can give the resource owner a template to turn that into a service very quickly and easily. To be able to use the laser cutter, I need to know the bed size, I need to know the materials, I need to know whether it's available, whether I need a trained technician to help me use it, and when it's available and how much it might cost. And if I don't know that, I can't engage, I can't use that asset. That's the whole point. Now, within government, there will be assets which could be used. They might even just be photocopiers or printers or desk space. And if we have a platform where these assets are registered, then we can make them available readily for use. And if we make them readily available for use, the return on those assets goes up. It's just so simple. And it's not a test of technology, it's a test of us and how we choose to organize and communicate to do this. But then the city benefits. The city gets improved tax revenues. It becomes a more interesting place to live and work and visit. And there's no reason not to do it, because this doesn't require any significant amount of money, just some commitment and some smart people. And there are plenty of those I've met here in my visits. So if we take one of the stakeholders now to finally answer your question, it's to engage them. They may have assets that they can provide access to, or they may be able to find other assets they need to be able to use. I mean, take the equipment here, for example. You have a wonderful sound studio, which you showed me last time I was here. My question would be, how much is that utilized? 5% of the time? 15% of the time? We just want to increase use of the assets and get the most out of them. And that's a simple thing to do. We could start here.
Definitely, thank you. In one of our episodes, we discussed a bit about investment. We had an expert from US, and one of the things was mentioned that he also mentioned we have all the resources in place, but using resources efficiently or making them visible was one of the challenge. And then that was for investment. Now we're talking for service design, creating innovation, creating employment opportunities. Somebody who is observing the local ecosystem here from outside, you see again all the resources are in place, but it's again not utilized. So I see that we have a huge planning problem on how to identify, use, and share resources. What would be some examples that you've seen abroad on best, let's say, resource planning or resource management examples that leaded to some very good case studies or examples?
Yes. You've given me the opportunity to respond with respect to one of my pet hates, which is the use of best practice. There is no such thing as best practice. In order to claim best practice, you have to know what everyone is doing everywhere, all of the time. And even if you could then identify best practice, it may be too expensive or it may not be necessary. What we're really interested in is effective methods, effective practice. So what is effective is actually to run communications programs, to tell people what is available. I went through the EdTech newspaper this morning, and there are dozens of organizations with active accelerators, active incubators, active investment programs. And that's great. And that's a really good example of the need to communicate what's going on so people can choose the program that is right for them and their project. So that is very effective. What I saw in Aalto University in Espoo near Helsinki, they have 4 incubators, and one of the incubators is managed by the students. And that's a great way to learn management. And they have a screen in the cafe, and you can book an appointment with a mentor. You can book an appointment with a coach. You can book an appointment with a technician to help you make what you want to make. And that sort of socializing is so important to get people involved, motivated, and understanding what's available to them. That's a really great practice. The other practice, which is not so great, is the teams in Western Australia were so enthused about their projects, they were sleeping in the labs because they didn't want to waste time going home and back to the lab in order to promote to further develop their projects. I have a fairly pet hate as well, which I think is an ineffective practice, and it's important to understand as much about what doesn't really work effectively as what does, and that is the pitch, or the dragon's den. We have teams and individuals who've been up all night working on their projects. They've put weeks and weeks of effort into it, and to try and judge that in 5 minutes is actually disrespectful, because it's like the iceberg. You don't see what's under the water and all the effort and the emotion that's gone into preparing the pitch. So I like the projects where the project is reviewed, the team is reviewed, and the decisions are not made until a really good body of information has been received and understood, Otherwise, we have to make choices between projects on the basis of 5 minutes, and that means we choose mostly what appeals to us emotionally and things we know about, and we reject things that don't appeal to us and don't understand, but they may be the much more valuable project in terms of generating employment.
And there won't be enough time so they can re-explain themselves so we understand.
Yes, and yes, it is important, very important to be able to present with confidence, but that's not what it's all about at all. So we need to make sure we sweep away the ineffective practices and learn how to do it more effectively. Yes, you have to learn to pitch. You've got to pitch all the time. But we shouldn't be making these life or death decisions for the project on 5 minutes of presentation.
So evaluating the processes, what would be the values to use to evaluate what is an effective and what is an ineffective practice?
I like using frameworks, simple templates, because if you write stuff down and put it in a presentation, you're continually having to revise it and update it. It's very hard to extract value from a written document. If you've got a simple template with rows and columns and data, you can adjust the template, you can add criteria, you can remove criteria, you can refresh the data, keep it up to date, and you can share it. I mean, it's much easier to extract value from simple tools. And this is what we did at IBM. To help the brands get new technologies to market quickly, the simpler the tools, the more likely they are to be used, and the more likely they are then to be effective. So this simple library of tools which people can adapt for each project is, for me, a very effective practice.
Thank you. I see we're very close to the end of our time. Actually, we passed it. That was a very fast conversation. Before we close, is there anything you would like to add?
Just that it's fantastic to draw the curtains in the morning and see the sunshine every day that I'm here. And standing on the roof terrace of the mayor's building last night for the EdTech event, looking at the sunset going down over the city and the framework of the mountains is just wonderful. So it's just a tremendous place to be if you have a startup.
Well, it's just the beginning of our collaboration, so we'll be having you here more, and we'll enjoy the sunsets, and we'll do amazing work together.
Well, thank you very much once again for inviting me to participate and collaborate. It's a great pleasure, and I look forward to us being able to say, yes, we've helped create thousands of jobs within the city from good innovation programs. Thank you.
Thank you too.
This podcast is brought to you by CYENS, former RISE, the Research Centre of Excellence in Cyprus, focusing on interactive media, smart systems and emerging technologies. For more information, please check our website on cyens.org.cy.